là, et ça c'est deuxième Chanel moi. Et aujourd'hui, nous allons parler de mettre de l'eau et qui j'en yo fait petite. Today we're going to be talking about mermaids and how they have babies. Now, I will say I've been looking into this topic for so damn long, and I keep getting the same mundane answers, the same interesting but not interesting, but like ridiculous type of runaround. And I just want y'all to comment down below if you have any type of information about this from your culture or your understanding. Please comment down below because I would love to hear it. Now, disclaimer, full disclaimer, the information that I'm giving you guys in this video has a lot to do with my Haitian background. Okay, I had to ask around, I had to look up a lot of different things, so you can feel free to look in the description or the pinned comment down below. I'll have my sources linked down below, but a lot of this is, you know, coming from things that people told me, so it's not going to be able to be linked down below. Also, you guys really liked the ominous lighting in the past video, and you know, we're gonna bring it back, but we're not gonna bring it back for every video, okay? It's only gonna be for the, you know, dark type videos, you know, the spooky ones. And of course, probably every time we talk about mermaids, we're probably gonna do the dark type lighting, you know? You feel me? You feels? So yeah, let's get into it. So of course, the biggest question everyone almost always has when it comes to discovering mermaids and thinking about if they exist or not is, how do they reproduce? How did they get here? Are there baby mermaids out there? Because more than likely, every single time someone sees a mermaid, it's just a grown woman mermaid, and they're usually pretty damn big, and they're not like teenage mermaids, they're not like toddler mermaids, they're fully grown, tall, huge mermaids. So it always begs the question, do they even have that stage of young to old? Do they have that baby stage? If so, where are they? Are they even allowed to go up to where humans are, like up to the surface? Do they even have that stage where they go from like baby to adulthood? Better yet, are they even mermen? Which I did do a whole video on mermen, and yes, there are mermen. I'm gonna link that video down below. So it's very interesting that, like, looking into this, I found a lot of information, but a lot of the information was kind of redundant. So like I said, please comment down below if you have anything to add. So here's what I found. So there's many different answers to this, okay? So first things first, of course we all know that mermaids have been seen forever, okay? Literally since the dawn of time, from Christopher Columbus to Blackbeard to colonizers and everyone else seeing them and writing about them in journals, okay? People saying, you know, they seen them while they were out sailing, saying that they've been kidnapped by them. But on rare occasions, there have been children that were kidnapped by mermaids and never seen again. And this is something a lot of people don't talk about. A lot of times you hear these stories in African countries, in the Caribbean, or in South America. And something I've always been told about mermaids is that most of the time, if they kidnap a child, that is because they've lost their own child, and this child reminds them of their own child. This child that they've kidnapped is literally their child that they birthed, and they have come back to collect this child. Or literally, tit for tat, you did something to this mermaid, so they're kidnapping your child in return. Nonetheless, there's been numerous cases of mermaids snatching human children, and these children are never seen again, and they're just living under the sea with the mermaids. And it just makes you think, do they just kidnap human babies and then these babies become mermaids? And then here you go. So are mermaids just evolved versions of us? Like, and I was just, that made me think. I wouldn't be shocked if that was the case, because that's something I heard for a very long time. I remember when I was really young and I went to Haiti, I was like 6, 7, and it was, you know, be very careful. You know, we can't let you in the water by yourself. You have to really watch you because they might kidnap you, they might snatch you. And I'm like, who's they? And I was like, you know, the mermaids. And mind you, I really thought they were joking, because when I first like really heard stories about mermaids, I was like, you know, 11, 12. I told you guys that story the other day. But I remember, like, literally the other day, I was like, no, that's a lie. The first time I heard about mermaids when I first went to Haiti when I was like 6 or 7. There was something like, oh, nah, we can't let you go in the water by yourself. These mermaids might snatch you up. And I'm like, that's not funny. Mermaids don't exist. Like, that was the only thing I was thinking in my head. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? You know, so this is a real thing. Like, mermaids will snatch kids up. Like, it's a very regular occurrence. They don't necessarily hurt children. For the most part, they'll just literally take them and raise them as their own. For whatever reason, I hear that something, like, a lot of bad things happen to mermaid babies. I don't know if they get taken by predators. I don't know, but they love to take children, okay? So please, I beg you, if you go to any foreign countries, especially especially even in America. Okay, I can't even say foreign countries, but in America there are mermaids. Okay, you guys may not think that's not a thing. It is. Okay, especially in Lake Neewer and all that crazy shit be happening. All these little lakes where crazy things happen. Not even just Lake Neewer. All these crazy lakes where things be happening and people want to act like, oh, it's just a haunted lake, and oh, it's just a very, very dangerous river. And listen, mermaids. Okay, so be very, very careful. We also know that a lot of mermaids are deities. Okay, a lot of people pray to mermaids. A lot of people devote their lives to mermaid worship. So of course they are magical beings. Also understand that since they are magical beings, that means that they just are. They just be. And depending on if you believe that they are of God or they are of the devil, that means they can basically manifest themselves. They can create themselves. So it's not necessarily impossible that they just, I don't want to say fall from the sky, but some way, somehow, through some sort of magic, maybe they just abracadabra show up. Now that I think about it, I'm like, maybe that makes sense, but then it doesn't make sense, but it does make sense. Maybe they're out there making mermaid shops down there. That's how someone explained it to me, but I'm like, that, but how? And they was like, I don't know, but like, I mean, they're magical creatures, and I'm like, I believe them kidnapping human babies. I think that was a lot more plausible than them just making mermaids. Let me know down below if that makes sense, or if someone could expand on that, because they were being all secretive. Like, oh, I don't know, back on it. You know, you have to figure it out. And I'm like, I don't want to figure it out. That's why I came to you, bitch. You know, so they were just like, they basically are able to manifest themselves and make themselves. Like, God created them the way he created us. But then I'm like, but we reproduce. He's like, yeah, but it's different with them. But they wouldn't elaborate any further. So for me, I'm thinking they would reproduce the same way we do, and that goes into the next couple of theories that we're gonna go into. So from a scientific standpoint, right, since they are half mammal and half fish, realistically you would think that either they lay eggs or they give birth. So let's go with the lay egg theory. Now realistically, we all know that fish lay eggs. Female fish lay eggs, and then the males go and they fertilize these eggs, and for the most part, depending on the type of fish, the eggs go in the pouch of the male, and then they go and they carry this. And depending on what we're watching, because there's been certain mermaid tales and movies where certain mermen have carried the mermaids for a certain time until the eggs hatched. So depending on what we're watching, or depending on what theory you want to follow, there's been certain cases where mermen have fertilized the mermaid eggs and then carried the eggs until the eggs have hatched. Now the thing is, this would be a plausible theory if you didn't take into consideration that fish in a general sense lay thousands of eggs. Okay, fish like literally lay so many eggs because most of the time most of those eggs do not mature because they get eaten by predators and things like that. And let's be real, like mermaids, they ain't no bitch. Like mermaids, I'm very sure, are not gonna fuck around and just leave their eggs susceptible to like being eaten and attacked and whatever. They're not gonna leave their eggs vulnerable, right? I don't want to be an asshole to Agui or any other, you know, merman creatures out there, but like I don't think, you know, Lassie and Mamiwata or anything is gonna trust no man with their egg. I'm just saying, like, I know I wouldn't. So I don't think that's really plausible. That's a lot of egg. I can't even imagine a half human sitting in a legitimate fish egg. But then you know what it is? My hungry ass, I'm sitting here thinking of caviar. Can a little human fish thing fit in a little caviar? Like, I don't see it. Like, I don't see it. But comment down below if you think that's plausible. Now, of course, we do know that some fish actually do give birth, okay? Some fish do actually, you know, carry their babies in their stomachs. But of course, there's other sea mammals that do kind of give birth kind of like humans. And that's where we come into the dolphin. And that is one of the most plausible theories. Now, as you guys can see, that actually makes a lot more sense, you know? Mermaid carries baby to full term, probably 9 months, just like us, and then some way, somehow, in the tail of the mermaid, an opening is created and the baby comes out. I think it makes perfect sense, mainly because the anatomy of a mermaid is essentially kind of like the anatomy of us at the top, and very much so like a fish at the bottom. So it isn't too far-fetched that maybe an opening could be created when they're giving birth, and then, you know, the little mermaid thing just comes out. You know, like, I think yeah, that makes perfect sense. Why not? Of course, we have the shark theory. Now, if you guys don't know about sharks and their whole reproductive system, Jesus fucking Christ, I didn't either.
Sharks can reproduce in several ways. Many small sharks, like the horn shark, the swell shark, and cat sharks, actually lay eggs on the bottom. The baby shark develops in there, living off a yolk sac filled with nutrients. The baby, a miniature version of its parents, is born after a few months to a year of gestation, depending on the water temperature and the species. Sharks using this reproductive strategy are called oviparous, meaning egg-laying. Other sharks are viviparous. They give birth to live young which develop inside the mother shark, receiving nutrients and oxygen from mom through an umbilical cord, just like humans. Larger sharks like blue sharks, bull sharks, and hammerheads use this technique. The last group of sharks are ovoviviparous, also known as aplacental yolk sac viviparous. In this system, the mother produces eggs like the oviparous system, but instead of laying her eggs on the bottom, she carries them inside her body until they hatch. When the babies pop out, you might think the shark was viviparous, but the babies had no umbilical cord inside. They lived off a yolk sac. In the weird category, the sand tiger shark has a strange variation on its ovoviviparous reproduction known as intrauterine cannibalism. The mother produces up to 50 pups in each of 2 uteruses, but the first baby in each uterus that reaches about 4 inches long eats all of its siblings. After 12 months of gestation, the mother then gives birth to a pair of 3-foot-long pups that are well fed. Because sharks put so much more time, effort, and energy into producing a viable offspring than bony fish do, they give birth to far fewer pups. A whale shark produces the most pups of any shark, around 300 at a time, but then again, mom is the size of a bus. The thresher and sand tiger only produce 2 pups at a time. The blue shark can produce 135 at a time, which is a lot for a shark not the size of a bus.
So apparently, sharks have 3 different ways of having babies. It depends on the type of shark, and a whole other host of different things. And to be honest, I wouldn't be shocked if this is how mermaids operate as well, especially considering that there's different types of mermaids, different types of regions, and then there's different variations. Of course, we have sirens, and then we have mermaids, and then you have selkies, and then you have, like, you know, ipiora, and then all that. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, I wouldn't be shocked if it was more like the sharks. Maybe some of them are in eggs, and then some of them do give live birth. It would make a lot more sense now that I think about it, because when you really think, like, okay, how is this working? How are these babies coming into fruition? First of all, let's be real, nobody's ever really seen a baby mermaid. Like, I've never heard of anyone saying, I saw a baby mermaid, I saw a child mermaid, except for maybe 2 times. I've only seen 2 people in my comment section. I don't know if you guys are gonna see this video. It'd be great if you guys comment again. I've only seen 2 people in my comment section that was like, yo, I played with like a child mermaid, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, it's rare. Like, you almost never hear someone saying like, yo, I played with a child mermaid came up to me, and it was very weird, because I'm like, that doesn't happen often. Like, that's not to, like, I've always heard people like grown woman, grown man mermaid came up to me. Never ever do you hear like a child mermaid came up to me. And I would assume that's a thing, mainly because they're probably like in an egg somewhere under the sea being protected by the mermaid. Like, they're either in an egg, or they're in their mother's stomach, or they're being like somewhere, because I mean, realistically, let's be real, people are constantly hunting mermaids, trying to find the truth, trying to prove that they're evil and this, that, and the third, and trying to find their great aunt that got kidnapped by a mermaid and all this goofy shit. So to be honest, I probably had the mermaids too, especially the babies. And I'm very sure the babies don't know any better than sitting here playing with people on beaches and shit. Like, now that I think about it, yeah, I've heard 2 stories and it's always been like on the beach. Like, yeah, I played with a mermaid child and then I saw the fin. Those are 2 stories I've heard, and I think it's both of them been in my comment section, you know? So of course, a lot of you guys are probably thinking, especially, you know, the people that are skeptical, like, well, maybe they're delusional, okay? The people that said they've seen mermaids in general, especially the ones that have said that they've seen baby mermaids, maybe they're delusional. Maybe they never saw anything. Maybe they're just making it up for attention. To be honest, maybe, but maybe not. Especially back in the day when sailors would see these mermaids. It would be sailors that were out on the water for a very long time, and you know, they hadn't seen a woman in a long time. A lot of times when they would come back home, maybe you saw a manatee fin, or maybe it was a whale fin or a shark fin. Like, they would sit there and like literally say so many things, like maybe it wasn't a mermaid or a morpho. It could have been anything but a mermaid. You didn't see a mermaid. You know, you haven't seen a woman for a long time. You was probably imagining things. And to this day, people sit there and like, you know, you guys are making things up. You guys want to see a mermaid, but you never seen a mermaid. So what do you guys think? Do you really think people are out here seeing mermaids? Do you really think people are out here seeing baby mermaids? Because personally, I've yet to really hear one in person. I always hear people seeing women. It's almost always women. I don't think I've personally ever heard a man's story, or maybe I haven't, I just don't remember. But trust me, that's definitely something I would remember. With that being said, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, do all that. Comment down below if you have any stories about seeing any baby mermaids or like young mermaids, because I never heard of it. And of course, if you have any theories about how mermaids have babies, I'd love to hear them down below. And I'm gonna see y'all next time. Bye.